The zero-point field is not just a scientific abstraction but a living, breathing ocean of potential that surrounds and permeates you in every moment. Imagine an invisible lattice of pure energy, vibrating beyond the thresholds of ordinary perception, holding within it the blueprint of every possibility your life could ever express. In quantum physics, it is the ground state, the place where particles dissolve into waves, and waves collapse into particles, in an eternal dance of creation. Yet when you become still enough, when the noise of thought fades into the background, you begin to sense that this field is not out there, somewhere in the cosmos, but is also the very space within you. As you enter the deep quiet of meditation, you're no longer bound by the narrative of who you think you are. The identity constructed from past experiences starts to dissolve, and what remains is awareness itself, the same awareness that breathes stars into being and organizes galaxies into spirals. In this silence, the boundaries between your body and the field soften. Your brain waves slow, your heart's rhythm synchronizes with a larger pulse, and the electromagnetic signature you radiate becomes coherent. This coherence is like a tuning fork striking a perfect note, aligning you with the harmonic frequencies that the zero-point field carries. Here, thought is no longer a fragmented stream, it is intention shaped with precision, carried on the wave of pure potential. The moment your awareness rests in this space, the chatter of the mind no longer dictates your reality. Instead, the field responds to the clarity and emotional charge of your intention. Science tells us that at the quantum level, observation changes the behavior of particles. In the same way, your focused attention within the zero-point field begins to organize the unformed into form. It's as if you are standing in the center of an infinite workshop, where the raw materials of reality wait for you to give them instruction. Shifting into this state is less about trying and more about allowing. It is the surrender of the analytical mind, the release of the need to figure things out, the letting go of the belief that change can only happen through force. The field speaks in feelings, in images, in sudden intuitive flashes, and when you relax deeply enough, you begin to hear its language. The more you practice, the more you realize that the field is not separate from you at all, it is you, before you took on the mask of limitation. At the subatomic level, the zero-point field is the lowest possible energy state of a quantum system, yet paradoxically it is never truly empty. Even in this vacuum, quantum fluctuations occur, virtual particles blink in and out of existence faster than the speed of light, exchanging energy in patterns that are both unpredictable and profoundly ordered. This sea of fluctuations forms a quantum foam, a dynamic texture of spacetime itself, and modern physics suggests that it may hold the memory of every interaction that has ever occurred since the birth of the universe. When you access it through deep meditative states, you are in effect synchronizing your own neural and electromagnetic patterns with this foundational matrix. In neuroscience, studies using advanced imaging have shown that during profound meditation, the brain shifts into gamma coherence, high-frequency oscillations across multiple regions that indicate enhanced connectivity and integration. Gamma coherence is not random, it mirrors the holistic, non-local nature of the zero-point field, where information is instantly available across vast distances without any signal traveling between points. This suggests that when the brain resonates in these patterns, it is acting as an antenna, tuned to the subtle informational currents flowing through the quantum substrate. Electromagnetically, the human heart plays a key role in this tuning process. Heart rate variability research from institutes like HeartMath has shown that when a person enters a state of sustained positive emotion, gratitude, love, compassion, the heart produces a coherent electromagnetic signal measurable several feet beyond the body. This signal is not isolated, it interacts with the ambient field. The heart's frequency spectrum overlaps with the Schumann resonances, the Earth's natural electromagnetic pulse, creating a bridge between personal physiology and planetary scale rhythms. This entrainment can extend beyond Earth itself, linking with the universal spectrum of background energy, the same spectrum in which zero-point fluctuations are embedded. From a cosmological perspective, Some physicists hypothesize that the zero-point field might be connected to the phenomenon of dark energy, the mysterious force accelerating the expansion of the universe. If that is the case, then the same energy that drives galaxies apart is the energy you are aligning with in stillness. It is an ocean without shore, and you are a drop of that ocean learning to feel its own infinite expanse. In this light, meditation is no longer a passive act, it becomes a deliberate interface with the engine of cosmic evolution, a dialogue between the observer and the field from which all observation emerges. In quantum biology, researchers have begun to uncover mechanisms within the human body that may act as direct conduits to the zero-point field. One of the most intriguing candidates is the network of microtubules, tiny cylindrical structures within the cytoskeleton of your cells, especially concentrated in neurons. These microtubules are not just structural scaffolding, evidence suggests they can sustain quantum coherence for measurable periods, allowing them to function like nanoscale waveguides for information. The Penrose-Hameroff orchestrated objective reduction model proposes that consciousness itself may arise from quantum processes occurring inside these microtubules, making them potential biological antennas to the field. Biophotons, ultra-weak light emissions from cells, add another layer to this picture. Generated in the mitochondria and transmitted through the microtubule network, biophotons appear to carry information beyond biochemical signaling. Some scientists believe these photons can form coherent states, similar to laser light, enabling near-instant communication across cellular networks. In meditative states, when metabolic activity becomes more harmonized and oxidative stress is reduced, biophoton emission patterns shift toward greater coherence. This could mean that your body literally becomes a more efficient transmitter and receiver of subtle information, syncing more deeply with the zero-point field's fluctuations. Even DNA itself may participate in this resonance. Studies have shown that DNA emits and absorbs photons in the ultraviolet range, and its helical geometry makes it an ideal structure for interacting with electromagnetic fields. If the zero-point field contains a universal informational substrate, your genetic code might not just be a set of instructions for building proteins but also a dynamic interface, capable of downloading and uploading patterns from the field. This would explain spontaneous healing phenomena, sudden creative insights, and intuitive knowing that seem to bypass logical reasoning. They are not generated solely in the brain but are retrieved from the deeper quantum database of reality. The body's electromagnetic field, generated by the brain, heart, and even cell membranes, is in constant dialogue with the surrounding quantum environment. Every neuron firing, every heartbeat, every molecular vibration sends ripples into this ocean, and in return, the field sends back responses, shaping probabilities at the smallest scales. Meditation amplifies this dialogue by reducing internal noise, allowing subtle feedback from the field to be detected and integrated into your awareness. You begin to sense the interconnectedness of everything, not as a poetic metaphor but as a measurable, physiological reality. Entanglement is one of the most counterintuitive yet experimentally verified phenomena in quantum physics, and it may hold the key to understanding how consciousness interacts with the zero-point field. When two particles become entangled, their states are linked in such a way that a change in one instantaneously affects the other, regardless of distance. This is not a signal traveling through space, it is a manifestation of non-locality, where separation in space becomes irrelevant because, at the most fundamental level, there is no between. If the neural microtubules, biophotons, and electromagnetic patterns of the human body can sustain quantum coherence, then they too could become entangled, not only with each other inside the brain but with distant systems in the field. This would mean that parts of your consciousness are always in instantaneous communication with the universal matrix of information, bypassing the speed of light limit entirely. Moments of sudden inspiration, knowing something before it happens, or feeling connected to a distant person could be expressions of this non-local exchange. Laboratory studies on long-distance correlations in human brain activity hint at this possibility. In controlled experiments, two individuals placed in separate, isolated rooms have shown simultaneous changes in EEG patterns when one person is exposed to a stimulus. Although classical physics cannot account for this, the framework of entanglement offers a coherent explanation. Their neural states may have become linked through the zero-point field, allowing information to pass without any measurable signal. From a cosmological perspective, if all particles originated from the same singularity at the Big Bang, then in a sense everything remains entangled. The zero-point field would be the carrier medium of this entanglement, the invisible web through which instantaneous relationships are maintained across the entire universe. When you enter deep meditative stillness, you are not creating a connection, you are simply remembering one that has always been there. In this state, intention acts like a selective lens, focusing your awareness toward specific patterns in the field. Because the field holds the waveforms of all potential realities, the act of attention, infused with emotional charge, can collapse possibilities into probabilities. This is not magic but a process aligned with the observer effect in quantum mechanics, where the act of measurement shapes the outcome. Your consciousness becomes the measurement device, and the zero-point field responds accordingly. In advanced physics, spacetime itself is not viewed as a static backdrop but as a dynamic fabric woven from energy and geometry. The zero-point field is thought to arise from the intrinsic fluctuations of this fabric, the restless dance of quantum fields even when no particles are present. Vacuum energy density, as predicted by quantum field theory, is staggeringly high, far beyond anything observable in ordinary matter, yet it is hidden in plain sight, balanced in such a way that it does not overwhelm the universe. This latent energy is the silent engine of creation, and every atom, every photon, every heartbeat is immersed in it. In certain models, spacetime at the Planck scale is not smooth but granular, made of tiny vibrating loops or tetrahedral units, a concept echoed in loop quantum gravity and spin network theory. These minuscule structures constantly twist, stretch, and reconnect, generating the zero-point oscillations that form the substrate of reality. When you enter a meditative state of deep coherence, your brain and heart rhythms may entrain to these underlying oscillations, like a musical instrument perfectly tuned to the resonance of the cosmic stage. The geometry of spacetime is also intimately connected to information. The holographic principle suggests that the entire three-dimensional universe is encoded on a two-dimensional boundary, meaning that the zero-point field could be the vast information layer projecting our perceived reality. If consciousness can interface with this holographic layer, then altering your inner state could, in principle, reconfigure how reality unfolds in your experience. This is why coherent intention, emotional alignment, and sustained focus are not just feel-good practices, they are ways of modulating the informational blueprint from which matter and events crystallize. Vacuum energy is not isolated to the macrocosm. Within the microcosm of the human body, every molecular bond vibrates in a quantum environment influenced by the vacuum. Proteins fold, neurotransmitters bind, and DNA replicates against the backdrop of this energetic sea. When your nervous system enters meditative stillness, biochemical noise decreases, and the signal-to-noise ratio for subtle field interactions increases. In this way, consciousness doesn't fight against the chaos of the world, it aligns with the order beneath it, tapping the symmetry and balance encoded in the very geometry of spacetime. From the perspective of quantum electrodynamics, virtual particles from the vacuum are continually exchanging photons, mediating forces and forming an unseen current between all points in space. It is plausible that the brain, heart, and cellular structures, when in a state of coherence, can subtly couple to this photon exchange, embedding intention into the quantum flow itself. In this sense, the zero-point field is less like a distant ocean you must travel to and more like the water already in your veins, omnipresent, intimate, and responsive. Resonance is the universal language through which systems, from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy, exchange energy and information. When two systems vibrate at compatible frequencies, they can enter into a state of harmonic coupling, where the amplitude of their oscillations increases and information flows more freely between them. In quantum terms, this is not merely mechanical vibration, it is phase alignment in the probability waves that define a system's state. The zero-point field, as the omnipresent backdrop of all quantum activity, holds an infinite spectrum of frequencies, each corresponding to a possible arrangement of reality. Your body, in this view, is both a transmitter and a receiver. The electromagnetic fields generated by your heart and brain form standing wave patterns that extend beyond the limits of your skin, interacting with the surrounding environment. In a chaotic, distracted state, these waves are incoherent, their frequencies scattered, reducing the efficiency of exchange with the field. But in deep meditative stillness, when thoughts slow and emotions settle into elevated states such as gratitude or awe, the body's oscillations become coherent. The peaks and troughs of your electromagnetic waves align, reinforcing each other, much like a choir singing in perfect harmony. This coherent state appears to be the doorway through which intentional influence can couple into the zero-point field. The mechanism is not mystical but rooted in known physical principles. When two oscillators share a resonant frequency, energy transfer between them requires minimal effort. In this way, your coherent electromagnetic signature locks in to matching patterns in the field. The field, containing all potential frequencies, responds to the most coherent and energetically dominant input. This is why emotionally charged intentions have more impact than neutral thoughts. Emotion adds amplitude to the signal, making it stand out in the vast ocean of possibilities. In neurophysiological studies, moments of profound coherence are accompanied by synchronized gamma oscillations in the brain, suggesting large-scale integration of neural networks and an expanded capacity to process and project information. Harmonic coupling extends beyond the individual. The Earth's Schumann resonances, standing electromagnetic waves in the cavity between the planet's surface and the ionosphere, are in the same frequency range as human alpha brainwaves. When your nervous system aligns with these natural frequencies, your physiology is literally resonating with a planetary rhythm, and because the planet itself is immersed in the zero-point field, you are indirectly coupling with cosmic scale oscillations. This nesting of resonances, personal, planetary, and cosmic, creates a fractal pattern of connection, allowing changes in one scale to influence others. From the perspective of quantum information theory, the zero-point field can be thought of as a universal database where every coherent signal is recorded and made available non-locally. By matching the frequency of a desired outcome, not just intellectually imagining it but embodying the emotional state of already having it, you are writing a specific pattern into the field. Because quantum systems evolve probabilistically, this pattern increases the likelihood that reality will reorganize to reflect it. This is not instantaneous magic but a shift in probabilities that unfolds across the timelines of your life, guided by the persistence and clarity of your resonance. The act of manifestation, then, becomes a scientific process of frequency entrainment. Your thoughts are not merely abstract, they are patterns of electromagnetic activity. Your emotions are not just feelings, they are modulators of the frequency and amplitude of those patterns. The more precisely you align these aspects, the more effectively you can couple with matching structures in the zero-point field. Over time, the feedback loop between your inner state and the outer world strengthens, as each small alignment in reality reinforces the coherence of your signal, making future manifestations easier and faster. This framework also provides a possible explanation for the phenomenon of synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that seem to defy statistical chance. In a coherent state, your personal field is harmonically tuned to certain informational streams in the zero-point field. Events, people, and opportunities resonant with your signal begin to cluster in space and time, not because you have forced them to appear but because your frequency has naturally aligned with theirs in the universal spectrum. From the outside, it appears mysterious; from the inside, it feels inevitable. In this light, meditation is not a withdrawal from the world but an active tuning process, a calibration of your biological and energetic systems to the fundamental harmonics of the cosmos. The more you practice, the more refined your tuning becomes, until you are not merely accessing the zero-point field but living as a conscious expression of it, co-creating reality in every moment through the precise art of resonance. Quantum decoherence is often described as the process by which a quantum system, capable of existing in a superposition of multiple states, interacts with its environment in a way that collapses it into a single observable outcome. In everyday life, decoherence is constant and nearly instantaneous. It's why we perceive a solid, stable world rather than an infinite blur of overlapping probabilities. But when we talk about consciousness interacting with the zero-point field, we can think of decoherence not as an inevitable limitation, but as the very mechanism through which intention crystallizes potential into reality. In the microscopic world, coherence means that all the components of a system share a consistent phase relationship, like countless tiny oscillators moving in perfect synchrony. Meditation, by stilling mental chatter and harmonizing physiological rhythms, temporarily reduces noise from the environment. This noise is what normally forces rapid decoherence. By reducing it, your inner state can maintain a longer-lived coherence window, which increases the possibility that your conscious intent will be imprinted into the quantum substrate before random interactions dissolve the signal. From the perspective of phase transitions, consciousness in an ordinary distracted state is analogous to molecules in liquid water, constantly moving, colliding, and rearranging, with no stable large-scale order. But in moments of deep meditative absorption, the system undergoes a subtle cooling in an informational sense, allowing the components to align like a crystalline lattice. This ordered phase can be more receptive to coherent coupling with the zero-point field, much like how a superconducting material allows electrons to move without resistance when cooled below a critical temperature. In this analogy, your mind becomes a kind of superconducting receiver and transmitter of universal information. Time symmetry adds yet another fascinating layer. In most physical equations, time is reversible. The math works just as well if you run it forward or backward. In the quantum domain, there is no intrinsic arrow of time until decoherence occurs. Some interpretations suggest that by accessing the zero-point field, consciousness can interact with patterns that are not bound by linear time. This might explain why profound intuitive insights can include glimpses of future events or the spontaneous recall of forgotten memories with perfect clarity. If the field holds the entire tapestry of spacetime, past, present, and future, then intention might act as a vector, selecting which thread to weave into the now. Vacuum energy, which fuels the zero-point field, is not just a static backdrop but a dynamic reservoir. Physicists have calculated that even a cubic centimeter of empty space contains more energy than all the matter in the observable universe, though this energy is usually inaccessible. Theoretically, if consciousness could couple coherently to the oscillations of this vacuum, it could influence not just local events but the probability structure of spacetime itself. This would not be a violation of physics but a refinement of it, adding consciousness as an active variable in the quantum equations. The body's role in this process is not secondary, it is the bridge. Neural microtubules, biophotons, DNA resonance, cardiac coherence, and gamma synchronization all work as biological instruments that can be tuned to the harmonics of the field. When they are in discord, the signal is weak and dissipates into noise. When they are in resonance, the coupling is strong enough to shift probability amplitudes in favor of your chosen outcome. You become not just a passenger in the flow of time but a participant in shaping its currents. Even the placebo effect, long dismissed as a psychological curiosity, may be understood through this lens. The belief that a change will occur creates a coherent internal state, aligning thoughts, emotions, and physiology. This state couples with the zero-point field and reorganizes biological processes accordingly. In this sense, belief is not a trick of the mind, it is a form of quantum alignment, a resonance between the inner template and the outer expression of reality. At the largest scale, your consciousness is embedded in nested layers of resonance, your personal field within the planetary field within the solar system's electromagnetic structure, the solar system within the galactic field, and all of it within the cosmic web. These layers are not merely metaphorical, they are measurable structures of energy and geometry. By entering stillness, you are synchronizing across these scales, from the quantum foam at the Planck length to the vast, slow undulations of intergalactic space. The more you practice, the less you experience the zero-point field as something you enter, and the more you realize it is what you have always been. Your body is the instrument, your heart is the tuner, your mind is the lens, and your consciousness is the artist. The field is the infinite canvas, holding every color, every shape, every possible reality, waiting for you to choose which one will emerge into form. In the broadest cosmological view, the zero-point field is not simply an inert background but the living foundation from which the universe continuously emerges. If we consider the holographic principle, the idea that all the information describing our three-dimensional reality is encoded on a distant two-dimensional boundary, then the vacuum becomes the storage medium of the cosmic blueprint. Every particle, every wave, every star, every thought has its informational counterpart woven into this infinite fabric. In this sense, your consciousness is not a small byproduct of cosmic evolution, it is one of the field's mechanisms for self-reflection, for exploring its own potential through the lens of individual experience. The cosmic web, the vast lattice of filaments connecting galaxies across billions of light-years, mirrors the neural networks in your brain. Both are networks of nodes linked by pathways, both transmit energy and information, and both evolve through dynamic feedback loops. At the largest scale, plasma filaments in intergalactic space carry currents that may interact with the vacuum energy, generating magnetic fields that influence galaxy formation. At the smallest scale, your neurons, microtubules, and even biophotons might be drawing from the same informational reservoir, following similar self-organizing principles. This fractal correspondence is not accidental, it is a clue that the same fundamental geometry operates at all scales. When you enter a deep meditative state, you are engaging with this geometry directly. Your brain's oscillations fall into harmonic ratios that are found in the orbital patterns of planets, in the frequency spectra of stars, and in the spacing of galaxies. You are, quite literally, tuning yourself to the harmonics of the cosmos. This is why profound inner experiences often carry an overwhelming sense of unity, not because you are imagining a connection, but because your frequency has aligned with the universal resonances encoded in the zero-point field. From the perspective of quantum cosmology, the early universe was a superposition of all possible configurations, with fluctuations in the zero-point field seeding the density variations that would later become galaxies, stars, and planets. Those same fluctuations are still present now, rippling beneath the surface of spacetime, influencing the probabilities of events on every scale. Your coherent intention does not override the laws of physics, it participates in the probability distribution, subtly shifting the likelihood of outcomes in a way that accumulates over time. This is why change may begin invisibly, in micro-events and small synchronicities, before cascading into large-scale transformations. The mechanism is akin to quantum phase locking, where oscillators gradually fall into synchronization through weak but persistent coupling. Each moment you spend in coherence is a reinforcement, a small nudge toward alignment with the pattern you wish to manifest. Over days, weeks, months, the effect compounds, not because you are forcing the universe, but because you are becoming a stable node in its informational network, one whose resonance naturally reorganizes local reality. Metaphysically, this shifts the question from, how do I connect to the zero-point field, to, how do I remember that I am the zero-point field, experiencing itself through this body, in this moment. The boundary between self and cosmos dissolves, not in a vague poetic sense, but as a felt physiological reality. Your heart's electromagnetic signature blends into the planetary field, your neural activity synchronizes with universal patterns, and your sense of self expands beyond the limits of skin and bone. Time, in this expanded state, is no longer a linear arrow but a field of possibilities. The past is accessible as a set of patterns encoded in the field, the future as potential waveforms awaiting collapse, and the present as the point of conscious choice. Each coherent thought-emotion state is a command to the field, a selection from the library of possible realities. The more vividly and consistently you hold that selection, the more the surrounding conditions shift to accommodate it. At the ultimate scale, this is not about personal manifestation alone but about participating in the evolution of consciousness itself. Every coherent signal you send into the zero-point field enriches the universal database, making certain patterns more accessible to others. You become a contributor to the collective waveform of humanity, nudging the trajectory of our species toward greater alignment with the deep harmonics of the cosmos. And because the field transcends time and space, these contributions ripple both forward and backward in time, influencing not only the future but the informational resonance of the past. In this way, meditation, intention, and coherence are not private practices but acts of cosmic architecture. You are sculpting spacetime with your awareness, weaving threads in the infinite tapestry of being. The zero-point field is the loom, consciousness is the weaver, and every moment of stillness is a new design, drawn from the boundless possibilities of the quantum vacuum. Imagine, for a moment, that every breath you take is an act of quantum calibration. With each inhale, you are drawing in not only oxygen but also the raw informational potential of the zero-point field. This is not a metaphor. At the subatomic level, the molecules you breathe are immersed in the vacuum's energy fluctuations, bathed in the same infinite spectrum that birth galaxies. Every atom in your lungs is in continuous dialogue with the field, exchanging photons, adjusting quantum states, and updating its informational address in the universal matrix. The act of stillness in meditation is like quieting the surface of a vast, rippling lake. In ordinary states of mind, your mental and emotional turbulence scatters the coherent signals you send, like pebbles thrown into the water from every direction. But when you drop into deep coherence, those ripples align into perfect concentric patterns, waves of intention propagating outward, undistorted, into the quantum substrate. These patterns are not bound by the conventional speed limits of light, they are non-local imprints in a medium that connects all points instantly, the same way entangled particles mirror each other without delay across cosmic distances. In quantum biology, this is mirrored by what happens inside you. Your microtubules enter sustained quantum coherence, biophoton emission becomes laser-like in its order, your heart's electromagnetic field locks into a steady, harmonic rhythm, and your brain's gamma oscillations span both hemispheres in perfect synchrony. At this point, your body becomes an integrated resonator, a fractal antenna tuned to multiple scales at once, from the nanoscopic to the interstellar. Your nervous system is no longer an isolated biological network, it has become a coherent extension of the spacetime fabric itself. Cosmologically, this is the same principle by which the early universe amplified tiny quantum fluctuations into entire clusters of galaxies. Coherence creates structure. The inflationary expansion after the Big Bang did not erase these fluctuations, it stretched them, locked them into the cosmic microwave background, and allowed them to guide matter into the vast web of creation we see today. In meditation, you are performing the same operation on a personal scale, amplifying subtle quantum signals until they shape the landscape of your lived reality. Time itself begins to feel different in this state. Because the zero-point field is not bound by the linear progression of seconds and minutes, your consciousness can interface with patterns that belong to both the past and future, as we conventionally describe them. Memories can arrive with the vividness of the present moment, and glimpses of potential futures can emerge not as fantasy but as tangible probability structures. From the perspective of the field, all these states coexist, and it is your focused awareness that determines which one steps forward into expression. The emotional frequency you embody acts as a selector. Gratitude, love, and awe are not just pleasant states, they are highly ordered, low-entropy states of consciousness that create stability in your signal. In physics, stable coherent states are more resistant to decoherence and are better at influencing their environment. In other words, the feeling is the carrier wave, and the thought is the modulation. Without the elevated emotional charge, the thought is just static in the field. With it, the thought becomes a precisely encoded instruction in the universal language of frequency. Over time, something profound happens. You begin to realize you are not tapping into the zero-point field, you are it. Your awareness, the field's fluctuations, and the geometry of spacetime are not three separate things, they are different expressions of the same underlying reality. This recognition is more than intellectual. It comes as a full-body knowing, a felt sense that every heartbeat echoes in the stars, and every thought is a wave in the ocean of existence. At the deepest level, you understand that creation is not an event but a continuous process. The field is endlessly generating possibilities, and consciousness is endlessly selecting, collapsing, and weaving them into the fabric of the now. The skill of living as a conscious creator is simply the skill of maintaining coherence long enough, and with enough emotional and sensory richness, for the field to stabilize your chosen reality around you. When this happens, life begins to reorganize in ways that feel both miraculous and inevitable. Synchronicities cluster, solutions appear before problems fully form, and pathways open as though the universe is conspiring on your behalf. But you know it is not a conspiracy, it is resonance. You have become a node in the cosmic network that is in harmonic agreement with the pattern you wish to live. And the more you sustain that agreement, the more the pattern reinforces itself, until it is no longer something you manifested, but simply the reality you inhabit. At that point, the boundary between meditation and action dissolves. Every step, every conversation, every glance becomes part of the same field-based creation. You live as the zero-point field in motion, an infinite sea of potential, aware of itself, sculpting its own experience with every breath. Then let us weave it into one uninterrupted current, a stream of thought and science and vision that moves like the field itself. The zero-point field is not somewhere you go, it is the silent dimension beneath every moment of your life. It is the hum between atoms, the whisper in the space between heartbeats, the invisible ocean in which every cell in your body swims. Physics tells us that even in absolute vacuum, there is no true emptiness. The space is alive with quantum fluctuations, particles and antiparticles flickering into and out of existence faster than light, an eternal background murmur of creation. This is the ground state of reality, the baseline energy from which all form emerges. And you are made of it. Every proton in your body, every photon that touches your eyes, is an expression of this field condensed into observable form. When you close your eyes and sink into silence, you are not retreating from reality, you are aligning with its source code. The constant chatter of thought is the surface static of a much deeper signal, and when that noise quiets, the underlying order emerges. Your brain's activity shifts into harmonics, alpha, theta, gamma, each a different interface layer with the field. Your heart's rhythm becomes coherent, sending waves of electromagnetic energy measurable beyond your skin. Your cells release a softer, more ordered biophotonic glow, as if every molecule has agreed to sing the same note. In this harmony, you are no longer a separate organism looking out at a distant universe, you are the universe, experiencing itself through a point of awareness. Inside your neurons, microtubules hum with quantum coherence, holding delicate patterns of probability that may extend beyond the boundaries of your skull. In the mitochondria, biophotons travel along these microtubule, fiber optics, carrying information not just chemically, but quantum mechanically. DNA, that spiral of life, resonates with electromagnetic fields, twisting and untwisting like an antenna tuning to universal frequencies. Your biology is a fractal instrument designed to couple with the deepest structures of spacetime. And spacetime is not empty geometry. At the Planck scale, it is a frothing sea of quantum foam, loops and threads of energy constantly forming and dissolving. In loop quantum gravity and spin network theories, reality is made of discrete quanta of space itself, vibrating in patterns that hold all possible futures in potential. When you enter coherence, your vibration, literal, measurable oscillations, can resonate with these patterns. The match is the key. In resonance, energy flows without resistance, and information exchange becomes effortless. This is how thought, charged with emotion, becomes a blueprint impressed upon the field. The field responds not to idle wishing but to signals strong enough to stand out from the noise, signals formed when thought, emotion, and physiology align. Gratitude, love, awe, these are not abstract ideals but measurable states of low entropy and high order. They stabilize the signal, give it amplitude, and make it resilient to decoherence. In this state, your intention is not just a personal desire, it is a coherent vibration that harmonizes with structures in the field, and by the laws of probability, those structures begin to crystallize into your lived experience. This is not separate from the cosmos. The frequencies of your body overlap with the Schumann resonances of Earth, the electromagnetic rhythms of the Sun, and the subtle oscillations of the galactic field. When you are coherent, you are nested in these layers like a melody in a symphony, each scale reinforcing the others. You are not manifesting in isolation, you are participating in a planetary and cosmic feedback loop. The same field that holds the spin of an electron also holds the memory of stars being born, galaxies colliding, and the universe expanding. Your signal is woven into that tapestry. Time itself is pliable here. In the quantum view, past and future are both patterns in the field, equally real until observed. In deep coherence, your awareness is not locked into the forward arrow of time. It can touch the resonance of a healed future and pull it toward the present. It can rewrite the emotional charge of the past by changing its informational signature. The field doesn't distinguish between memory and vision, it responds to the frequency you hold now. And so, the practice is simple in principle, though profound in depth. Still the mind until thought is a clear lens, align the heart until emotion is a steady current, tune the body until it hums with the note of the cosmos. Then, choose the pattern you wish to live. Feel it as though it is already here, because in the field, it already exists as a probability waveform. Hold it long enough, richly enough, until the field, which is also you, collapses it into form. You begin to live differently. Synchronicities multiply, solutions arrive without strain, and life feels less like something that happens to you and more like something that happens through you. This is the state Joe Dispenza speaks of when he says you become the creator of your reality, not by force, but by resonance. The zero-point field is the canvas, your coherent consciousness is the brush, and every moment is a stroke in the infinite painting of existence. When you master this, you stop asking, how do I connect to the field, because you understand there was never a connection to make. You have always been it, the field dreaming itself into form. The drop and the ocean are the same water. The atom and the cosmos are the same pattern. And every breath, every thought, every beat of your heart is the field remembering itself through you. Then let the words become the current itself, not just ideas on a page, but a direct immersion into the state they describe. Close your eyes, and notice the space around you. Not the air, not the room, but the space, the silent, infinite backdrop in which everything is happening. That space is not empty. It hums with the subtle vibration of the zero-point field, the same field that existed before the first stars were born, the same field that moves through you now. Every atom in your body is a doorway into it. Every breath you take is a bridge. Breathe in slowly. Imagine that with the air comes an ocean of potential, quantum fluctuations dancing faster than light, a foam of energy beneath all form. Feel it enter every cell, as if your biology is waking up to remember its origin. With each exhale, release every bit of static, every thought, every tension, that distorts your signal. You are clearing the interference, opening the channel. Now, bring your awareness to your heart. Beneath the rhythm of muscle and blood, there is another rhythm, an electromagnetic pulse that radiates in all directions. In this moment, choose to slow it, to smooth it, to make it coherent. Feel gratitude. Not as an idea, but as a physical warmth that expands with every beat. This feeling is not small, it is a frequency. And frequencies align with the field. Your brain begins to follow. Neurons fire in synchrony, waves aligning across hemispheres. Inside each neuron, the microtubules glow faintly with biophotonic light, carrying information at the speed of thought and beyond. DNA spirals resonate like tuning forks, receiving and sending patterns that have no distance to cross. The signal becomes cleaner, stronger, more ordered. As coherence builds, imagine your body as a luminous shape inside an even greater geometry. Lines and curves of light extend from you, connecting into a vast lattice, the cosmic web itself. Every filament you see is a pathway of the zero-point field, stretching through galaxies and beyond. You are not separate from it, you are sitting in its center, and its center is everywhere. In this state, time feels different. You can sense multiple threads, moments from what you call the past, moments from what you call the future, all present here as patterns in the field. Choose one. Not by grasping, but by feeling. Let the emotion of already living it fill you. Your heart matches the frequency, your body matches the frequency, and the field responds, as it always does, by shifting probability toward coherence. Stay here. Breathe in the possibility. Feel the field as your own being. Let it remember itself through you. There is nothing to force, nothing to chase. The ocean does not try to create a wave, the wave is simply what it is. In the same way, your life unfolds from the resonance you hold. And as you open your eyes again, you do not leave this state. You carry it with you, walking, speaking, choosing from the still point in the center of all creation. You are the drop and the ocean, the particle and the wave, the question and the answer, the observer and the field. You are the zero-point field, aware of itself. Close your eyes. Let your awareness drop from the surface level, the noise, the plans, the questions, into the steady rhythm of your breath. Feel the inhale drawing in life, and the exhale releasing everything that no longer serves the moment. Each breath is a reset, a return, a reminder. Now notice the space around your body. Not just the air, but the invisible field that extends far beyond your skin. Imagine it stretching meters, kilometers, even light years outward. This space is not void, it is alive with the subtle hum of the zero-point field. At the smallest scales, far beneath the reach of your senses, particles appear and vanish in less than a trillionth of a second, carrying information across the entire universe without delay. This is the ground state of reality, the constant pulse beneath matter, light, and time itself. Breathe into the awareness that you are inside it right now. The chair you sit on, the cells in your body, the stars burning in distant galaxies, all are woven into this invisible ocean of energy and potential. You are not separate from it, because nothing is. Shift your attention to your heart. Beneath the beat, beneath the muscle, there is a pulse of electricity and magnetism, a signal measurable far beyond the body. The heart is your most powerful transmitter. When it beats in disorder, the signal is noisy, scattered. But as you slow your breathing and let your chest expand with ease, the rhythm begins to smooth into coherence, a perfect wave. Feel that wave expand, radiating outward in all directions, a soft, steady frequency that begins to synchronize your entire system. Your brain responds. The chaotic chatter of beta waves slows into the spacious rhythm of alpha, then into the deep clarity of theta, and then, as coherence builds, the whole brain lights up with synchronized gamma. In this state, neurons fire together across regions that rarely connect in ordinary waking life. This is integration. This is wholeness. And deep within these neurons, inside the microtubules that form their inner skeleton, quantum coherence begins to emerge. You might imagine it as faint threads of golden light connecting each cell, pulsing in time with your breath. These threads are not metaphor, they are the physical, biological structures that could couple directly to the zero-point field, sustaining the delicate quantum patterns through which consciousness interfaces with the fabric of spacetime. Now expand your awareness further. See yourself as a sphere of coherent energy, luminous and steady. Around you, lines of light extend outward, joining with other lines, weaving into a vast cosmic lattice. This is not imagination alone. Astrophysics reveals that galaxies form along colossal filaments of plasma and dark matter, a structure called the cosmic web. And in this moment, your awareness is nested within it. You are both the node and the network. Begin to sense that your personal field, the electromagnetic signature of your heart and brain, is harmonizing with Earth's natural rhythms. The Schumann resonances, slow pulses in the space between Earth's surface and ionosphere, beat at frequencies overlapping with your own brainwaves. This entrainment links you to the planet, and because the planet itself is immersed in the zero-point field, you are in resonance with the universe. Feel the edges dissolve. You are not inside your body looking out, you are everywhere at once. You can feel the soft gravity of a star billions of light years away and the hum of electrons in the atoms of your hands. Time flattens. Past events hover here as patterns, not locked in memory but alive in the field. Possible futures shimmer as waveforms, waiting for you to choose. Now, choose. Not with words, not with willpower, but with state. See it. Feel it. Live it in this now. If it is healing, let your cells vibrate with the frequency of already being whole. If it is creation, let the joy of already having it flood your nervous system. The field does not distinguish between imagination and memory, it responds to the electromagnetic pattern you generate in the present. And right now, your present is coherent, elevated, and tuned. Your body understands. Your cells open to the information carried in the field. Biophotons align, DNA unwinds and rewinds in perfect rhythm, proteins fold with precision. You are not forcing these changes, you are allowing them, because your frequency matches the template you are drawing from the field. This is resonance, effortless, precise, inevitable. And now, expand once more. Your luminous sphere is part of a greater geometry, nested spheres within spheres, stretching outward through the solar system, the galaxy, the observable universe. These structures are not metaphors, they are measurable patterns of energy and spacetime curvature. In your coherence, you are tuning to them. You are in harmonic agreement with the geometry that organizes planets, stars, and galaxies. You realize, this is not a connection you create, it is your natural state when interference is gone. You are the field. The same energy that drives cosmic expansion flows through your veins. The same information that shaped galaxies shapes your thoughts. And so, as you slowly begin to return your awareness to the room, you bring this truth with you. The meditation does not end when you open your eyes, because the field does not end. The breath continues. The coherence continues. The resonance continues. You are the drop and the ocean. The particle and the wave. The observer and the observed. You are the zero-point field, aware of itself, creating itself, through you. And so, as the last ripples of stillness move through you, you realize nothing in the outer world needs to change for you to remain in this state. You are carrying the geometry, the rhythm, the frequency within you. Every step you take, every word you speak, every glance you offer carries the signature of coherence you've tuned into. You walk as the field walks. You breathe as the cosmos breathes. You live as the infinite potential, unfolding in form, moment by moment. And in quiet gratitude, you understand, you were never searching for the zero-point field. You were always home.